What an incredible time of the year it is. As you look ahead to the future of baseball, more specifically, the 2025 draft, we can't help but stop right now and think about the 2024 Perfect Game All-American Classic. It's the 22nd edition, to be played August 18th, 8 o'clock Eastern at Chase Field, the home of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Hi there, folks. My name is Daron Sutton, and this game has such a rich tradition, sending hundreds upon hundreds to the MLB. As a matter of fact, a couple of more get called up. It would be 300 plus MLB alumni. You want Bobby Witt, you want Corbin Carroll, you want Nolan Gorman, Holmering, you've got it. Which Green do you want? Hunter Green, you want Riley Green. They're both alumni, both great young players. You want to go back in time, say I'm not going old school enough? How about Gerrit Cole? How about Buster Posey? Both played in this game. It's got such a rich tradition. I'm honored for the 17th time to be the voice of the All-American Classic on television on that day. Now, I can preview this show with all sorts of backgrounds and bios, but how it's all coming together, how the sausage is made, if you will, it's the scouts, Perfect Game scouts that are the lifeblood of the organization helping to build this roster. And the Vice President of Scouting Operations, Jered Goodwin, joins us to help us meet one and all of these All-Americans. Jered, thanks for hanging out with us, man. It's a great time of year.
I appreciate you having me. It's been a while, so pumped to be here, Sut.
I don't envy you guys getting together, and there are many deserving players who won't be attending, who probably will get drafted because 23 of the 50 are left-side infielders. Brag on the infielders in this year's game.
I mean, you hit it there. There's some versatility in there, right? Some guys that I do think are going to move off maybe the dirt, find a spot potentially in center field. That type of athletes, or the bigger, more physical prospects that maybe play a corner outfield, but they have big arms. But I don't know if many of them move off, in the near future. This was a really, really hard class to kind of get to this roster because of all the talent, in particular the West Coast and the entire country on the left side of the infield.
So in the late 80s, early 90s, I was a legacy, and folks kind of did me a favor because I was a legacy. That's not the case with these legacies. Names like Holiday, Stroman, Dino Evil, Dodgers fan here, great third base coach. Young, of course, we know Dimitri Young and Delman Young. That doesn't automatically mean because you grew up around the game that you play it well, but those gentlemen, they do play it well, don't they?
It's incredible. These guys are all bloodlines of significant big leaguers, all-stars, 1-1 draft picks, and they all have their own talent. It's just amazing. It's amazing to watch because it's not just a bloodlines thing. This is a talent thing.
Yeah, I'm excited. Let's unveil the rosters. We're going to put Jered to work because all of these players deserve to be known. And let's start with some of those infielders we're talking about. And let's start with the East. Caleb Barnett out of Mountain Brook, Alabama. Congratulations. He's an Alabama commit. He's a 30 ACT. Dylan Dubovic, Coral Springs, Florida. A 14U Select Festival athlete. Wow factor his travel team. Coy James, Advanced North Carolina. When you see Coy, what do you see as a scout?
Let's just go with one fascinating thing that Coy did this summer. We've had amazing players come through the 17U WWBA. I mean, guys that are going to be in the Hall of Fame, right? I mean, that's how amazing that event is. He now has the hits record. 22 hits this year at the 17U WWBA. I can assure you, from somebody that gets to go and watch the Canes and some of these top teams all the time, they get everybody's number one. They don't dodge any arms. And for him to put up something like that, it was like one day where he had 4 at-bats and every exit velocity was 97 or better. He's one of my personal favorites to watch in the class.
We'll enjoy seeing him at Chase Field. Josh Gibbs, north of Atlanta. He's from Cumming, Georgia. He's a Georgia commit. East Cobb makes sense. That is his travel team. Mario Magana Jr. is out of Miami, Florida, plays for FTB. Nelly's team plays for the famous Nelly. Then there's Noonan, Georgia's Dax Kilby. Team Elite, his travel team. He's a Clemson commit. When you watch him, what are some of his virtues as a player?
His ability to impact the baseball. More specifically, impact the baseball to all fields. It really stood out early in the summer. Headed into the national showcase where he flashed some power. We needed to see that. But then he comes out and runs a 6.47. So now it's like, hey, the left-handed hitter that you loved, that you think there's some power projection there that always kind of shows that hit tool. It's like, we didn't know it was that type of athlete. And so he took advantage of that, and it was awesome to see kind of that development over the last couple of years leading to that really shining moment where the tools came out.
Yeah, you guys get such a wonderful combination of gameplay and the metrics when it comes down to a showcase setting. It's the best. Jaden Stroman. Yes, it's Marcus Stroman's brother. He of the New York Yankees. Kelvin Paulino Jr., Thomasville, North Carolina, 5-star Mafia, Miami commit. Now we go to Purvis, Mississippi. To me, this is one of the more intriguing stories of the summer. And man, the Parker brothers couldn't be more different and yet gifted family guys.
Yeah, Jacob, festival kid and came to the PG underclass All-American games out in Malibu and Pepperdine last year. And everybody that was there, from players to parents to scouts, just stopped. I mean, it was completely silent when this guy took BP. They were building a wall in right field. Construction workers up on top of the wall, like full going. He was hitting it over the construction workers. Now, JoJo, it was one of the first group that comes in, one of the eye-opening performances of the National. Like, who's going to step up? There's somebody, we know these guys are good players. He barreled everything. You could have thrown it outside of the batter's boxes, and he was going to find a barrel on it. Big exit velocities. He moves well. His instincts, being like that football pedigree, were huge. He gets good jumps. He gets good reads. And the tools are well above a lot of his peers. So it was awesome to see JoJo kind of take that next step this summer and then do it on the highest level. So I'm telling you, they could have bounced the ball and he would have hit it at the National.
Yeah, it's a great story, and they're incredibly competitive, and it's to their benefit for sure. Jaden Foskey, congratulations, out of Willowbrook, Illinois. Here's another one. He bumped up about 75 points in the rankings with what he's been able to do. Mason Braun is an LSU commit. Canes National, his travel team. Then there's Sean Gamble. He's a Vanderbilt commit. He's a big Cubs fan, Midwestern guy out of Des Moines, Iowa. Jered, I talked to him a couple of years ago at one of your guys' great events that you put on. He seemed like he was well beyond his age and maturity. How about as a player? How is he maturing?
So if he walks up to you, you're not going to realize what type of power he has. You know, he's an excellent athlete. 6'4", in the 60 at the National Showcase, was 92 from the outfield. He moves well. He's got a really good first step. He's kind of that twitchy athlete. But when he stands next to you, you can tell there's 20, 25 pounds to add. This isn't, can we add 10 or 15 pounds? You can add 20 or 25 pounds. And then still at this kind of slender, not matured physical body, in game, he's still putting up 108 exit velocities on a triple at the National Showcase at Chase Field. In one of the hardest places to do it, because you never see the same pitcher, you can never get in the same rhythm, and everybody's throwing seemingly mid-90s, and he just shows up and kind of checks the boxes at every event. He did it all summer, so him putting that type of performance on the biggest stage kind of solidified that he's absolutely one of the top hitters in the country, with still so much projection remaining as he physically matures.
Bud Coombs, he's committed to Maryland. Play both football and baseball. We'll see where his future goes. Congratulations. L.J. Edwards, Lake Helen, Florida. Duke commit, really strong L.J. Edwards. You go a little bit further north, you meet the home of Eric Hines, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. His nickname is Puppy. If you walk up on him, he doesn't look like a puppy at all. He looks like he's a bulldog about to take you out. East Coast Sox, his travel team. Ty Peoples is from Livonia, Georgia. Twice he's been All-State already. Now, Jered, this is one of my favorite dudes. The next guy, Owen Jenkins, catcher, Louisville commit, and if I'm going to get this right, about 400 points up in the rankings is what he was able to do. What do you like about him?
So we started getting some buzz from scouts, midway through spring about Owen, that he's taken the next step. He's always had some power. He's always had some tools. It was arm strength and power bat, really. But he transformed his body. And there's not many high school catchers that come along, especially in the last few years, that have his type of explosiveness and athleticism. You're talking 85 mile an hour arm strength, the 1.9 pop time, but he ran a 6.54. That's the type of athlete you're getting with this kid, and he had an awesome performance, but that overall athleticism you just don't see behind the plate, especially for a guy that you do think is going to stay there, which we definitely think Owen Jenkins is going to be a catcher for a long time.
Omar Stern, you were talking about Jenkins' power. Stern has had power for a long, long time. We welcome him to the roster. And then one final man behind the plate, Peter Mershon out of Taylor's South Carolina Canes national team, a South Carolina commit. So, those are the East bats. When we come back, We'll take a look at some of those arms. Our All-American Classic preview rolls right on, getting you set for the 22nd edition, August 18th at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. Daron and Jered welcoming you back to our All-American Classic preview show. So last winter time, when it was good and cold in Brooklyn, New York, I reached out to a young man who, as an underclass athlete, threw 99 at the event in Jupiter, the World Wood Bat Association World Championship. He was there with the Breakthrough Series athletes, and it turned everyone's head. It was kind of cleanup time later in the game, and then everyone stopped, and everyone knew of a young man out of Queens, Miguel Syme. Well, when he landed at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona, all eyes were upon him. He took a minute right before he went out and worked and went underneath where the big leaguers practice swinging the bat, but he didn't swing a bat. He educated us when he gets on the mound exactly how he goes to work, trying to touch triple digits just about every time out. So you and I got together on your turf, and we talked a lot about pitching. It's one thing to talk about it, Miguel. It's another thing to show me. Will you be willing to show me?
Of course.
Miggy Syme today making the start. Just outed it past him.
Syme has a special arm. That's the only way to describe it.
So I like to toe the corner of the rubber here, like basically on top of the lefty. You know, I like to face my whole body towards him. Sometimes I would be here, but I changed that to be here. I feel like I'm more in control of the mound. I mean, I love being in control of the game, and just like, when I see the batter there, it's just me and you. He's just like an obstacle in the way, so I like to get through that. I set here, I come 2 steps here, collect my breath. Sometimes I can hold it here, and I lift my leg. Now, I pride myself in my hinge, so my load. I feel that's where I generate all my energy, and I like to put my glove all the way out here, so that way I can coil that and just snap right above where my glove was. When I land here, most of the time I'm like almost all the way up to scap retraction, and from here, all you see is my front side, and I cover everything. I get open, and then when I'm around here, that's when I really start to separate everything, hips go, I go from there. So I feel like I do a good job just hiding the ball.
Swing and a miss. That's a fastball down at the end. 95.5 miles an hour.
I like to pride myself in this fastball right here. I keep my fingers closed so I can grip the seams harder, and I just like to rip it down like that. And I feel like I get the illusion that it's rising with the vertical break, and sometimes I shift it this way, and it has some sink to it. So, I just feel very fluid and very loose on the mound. So I like, yeah.
So here's what's fun to me. Your big number, your 99 record at Jupiter. Which, by the way, you understand the amount of pitchers that have come through there.
I mean, it was a consolation game. It's easy to take yourself out of the game, especially when you're pitching on the back end, and you come out, you're ready to throw against a great team. I mean, Hawaii Elite was a really good team.
Yeah.
So consolation game was kind of crazy to face them. It was a fun game overall, and I just kept my mentality there that I'm going to dominate no matter what. I feel like baseball is all about, obviously, sportsmanship and competition. I just pride myself in being a competitor. So it's me versus you. See who's better. See who's better.
What would it mean to you to be a perfect game All-American?
It would mean the world, just being on TV, national TV, is just a step closer to my dream, becoming a Major League Baseball player. And not only that, just becoming a Hall of Famer, that's my main dream. And there's different steps to that. I feel like this would be a huge step to that. Being seen, a bunch of cameras, bunch of gear and everything, yeah. Especially being my friends.
So your goal is to be a Hall of Famer?
Yeah.
Thank you, pal, I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
So Jered, it's interesting. When you have an arm like that, you have cold weather pitchers. I know there's not one theme. You have lefties, righties. But as you watch these East Coast pitchers pitch, what impresses you the most? I mean, outside of they're fighting weather all the time, they're having to do a lot of throwing indoors. But this class of East Coast pitchers, this is far from a slouch class. Again, you had a difficult decision, probably keeping everybody in there with all the great arms back on the East.
Yeah, there was a ton of kind of versatility in the class too, with your hard throwers, like Miguel, and you had some kind of projectable lefties. You had some super quick arm lefties, kind of all shapes and sizes, different arm slots, different pitches, how they attack pitchers. There are years you go out and it's like, man, everybody's a right-handed pitcher that's in the 90-94 range, and they all have a slider and a changeup, right? This year, I think you're going to take away from the game that everybody is unique. the versatility of just the repertoires are going to be really hard on the hitters, I think, because everybody's so different, trying to attack the same way and beat that opposing hitter. So I think that's going to be the big takeaway when people watch the game.
What a wonderful answer, man. I can't wait to see it just because of that. That's what wins you games in big events, is having different looks, different sides. Let's go back to Syme, though. I'd love to know the scout's perspective, the common man perspective, me sitting watching him. He had some control issues his first inning that frustrated him. And I think what I loved more about him is that he kind of bucked it up and said, all right, I'm going to go back out and get things right. And boy, in that second inning, it seemed like he really got things right.
When you're that young, because he's young for the class, and you throw that hard, you're going to have some sinking issues, as it goes. And it is tough because he does throw so hard. So it's an uncomfortable at bat, especially before he kind of gets the timing within his process and in his delivery to have a more consistent release point. But as soon as he gets going, which he has a couple times this summer, where we've seen him kind of hone in on the craft and not just throw. He started using his breaking ball more this summer. That's taken a nice step forward. Still some developmental things that have to happen there. But a year ago, he wouldn't have been able to bounce back from that first inning and get to that second inning where he was dominant. So when you're looking at that and you do have a little bit of a resume on a kid, that's such a positive thing to see. You're going to have those days, you're going to have those innings, but your ability to bounce back, and as a young kid in the class, for him to be able to do that with that type of stuff, it was awesome to see. And kind of we needed to see it too. Like, are you taking those steps from the physical ability to being able to put that into games and actually get out? So it was impressive to see him be able to bounce back like that.
I went off script and asked for that scouting report because I lived intimately with that meeting too. I know we were just going to introduce Miguel, but I wanted to get your opinion. Jack Bauer, I want your opinion on him. I'll quickly tell our viewers. He's from Frankfurt, Illinois, top tier Americans. Who is Jack Bauer now?
It may be just the quickest arm in the entire class when it's just pure shoulder speed. It's a really, really tough low slot. There's a lot of horizontal movement that comes with that. He doesn't throw anything straight. Having that type of arm speed, he's another one that can get out of whack at times. And being a 17-year-old, that's going to happen with that type of sheer hand speed, arm speed, the explosiveness of what he does. It's like a wipeout slider that he can get swings and misses in the zone and out of the zone. But when he is attacking the zone, he doesn't even have to use side to plate. He can go down the middle, and his stuff is that good that when he throws strikes, he's nearly unhittable at this age.
Landon Harmon, New Albany, Mississippi State commit, Easley Baseball Club. Jordan Martin is from Jefferson City, Missouri, 95 miles an hour. Nico Partita is out of Manville, Texas, Marucci Elite. Miles Upchurch is from Odenton, Maryland. Wow factor, he's an Alabama commit. He's got these crazy goals. His ERA was .88 his high school junior year. He wants to drop it to .5 or lower. He was 4-1 strikeout to walk, 82 and 20. He wants to go to 5-1. Big goals for a talented kid, and you like what you see.
He's been one of the best to just watch, bro, because he's kind of always been around the zone. He's had better than average stuff with his peers, really the last couple years, and you can tell he's done it organically through just hard work. It's 2 miles an hour. It's not that 5 mile an hour jump, right, that you see and you're like, hey, that's a pretty big jump in a short amount of time. He was like 88, 90 2 years ago, and then 90, 93 at the end of last summer, and then this year up to 96. So you just see every year he's putting in the work, and the velocity's coming. He was always a good athlete. The delivery is really sound. He's pounding the zone now. He has 2 better than average that could be, potentially plus breaking balls in his curveball and his slider, with a 4th pitch coming in his changeup. So he just has starter written all over him, and you're not necessarily worried about that growth because he's done it over a period of time. And I think he just maintains what he's done at the end of this summer and takes it in the next spring. And you know what? Those goals that you just read off that he has for himself, he probably gets to, because that's the type of worker he is. Take away the stuff.
Taylor Tracy, Austin, Texas. Coach Vitello got him to commit to the national champs in Tennessee. This is a talented athlete. Excited to see him work. Austin Weiss is from Rockville, Maryland. Left-handed pitcher, Maryland commit. This is like a plus 200 guy in your most recent rankings. Mid-Atlantic Red Sox, 94 fastball. So, Cam Appenzeller, Springfield, Illinois, another huge bounce in the rankings. About 450. GVA is travel team, South Carolina commit. So last year, Jered, he was like 84, 85, which is great. I would have taken that. He's not 84, 85 anymore. He's all grown up.
Yeah, this is another one that was a pleasant surprise just to see what he's done, and it hasn't been through him gaining a ton of weight, yet. He was always, that wiry, kid, and missed bats. At mid-80s, he was missing bats, right? Well, now that he's touching 93, a little more zip, it's actually a little more movement, and the breaking ball has just gotten a ton better. It could be a slider in the future, it could be a sweeper in the future, but it ducks under barrels really, really quickly. Starting potential, and kind of checks the box. And I keep saying checks the box, but this is one that does as far as what you're looking for in a high school lefty. He can already pitch, he can already miss barrels, and he's not even close to being done physically. So when he is, you can just see he's going to be able to go deep into games, and he's going to be able to go deep into games missing bats. A beautiful projectable lefty that has really taken the next step over the last calendar year.
Cooper Rummel joins the roster. He has 3 goals, the man out of Austin, Texas, in this upcoming school year. Stay healthy, win state, and throw 100. Then there's Holden Herring out of College Station, Texas. And now who is Holden Herring?
Chalk him up as that classic big, everything's bigger in Texas, right-handed pitcher that we've heard so much of and seems to be one of those guys on every team in the big leagues. It's an easy low 90s, can pull back, can reach back, and touch the mid 90s. Not done by any stretch of the imagination, but I think the body control with the big frame, it's athletic, it's fluid. You can see him, if there was a guy that, we're getting reports on early in the spring that's up to 98, 99 and kind of holding mid 90s during the game, it's that big Texan right there.
That's incredible. So there you go. That's the East squad. Visit perfectgame.org to see everyone in depth on this East roster. When we come back, Jered's going to break down the West roster. The studio's here in Arizona. That's where the game is being played. So I'm very curious, as you can imagine, about the West roster. This is the Perfect Game All-American Classic Preview Show.
Good baseball names here, Caminiti and Sheffield, as that's hit on the ground. Could do it. There's one on to first. Did he dig it out? He did! It's a double play, and the West wins it. Wow, what a play at first.
Daron and Jered back with you. So the West wins back-to-back, looking to make it 3 years in a row. Jered, right out of the gates, one of your themes when we flipped the lights on in this show was, my goodness, the West this year. My goodness, California. What are some of the things that you're noticing? Uptick baseball. I mean, we're now past 2020 and COVID shut down the West like it was nobody's business. Those days are long gone. It seems like talent is really flourishing out West for you guys.
Yeah, this is one of the best overall collection, the depth, right, that we're seeing out West. And we've talked about this for a couple years, that like, oh my gosh, California's back. Right, but this isn't just California. This is the whole West Coast, really from the four corners over. And I'm not sure that I can remember a class from like number 20 could be a top 15 pick a year from now. So we're just ecstatic of how deep and how talented the West are. And normally you get the like the baseball players. There's a stigma out West, right? That we do it hard and we do it the right way and we do all. However, you're combining these West Coast baseball players with the tools that are carrying throughout, college or pro ball, whichever they may go to next.
Let's get to that West roster, and a very familiar name at the top. Out of Stillwater, Oklahoma, the number 1 player in the class is Ethan Holiday. We can talk about Matt, but let's talk about Mom Leslie and how strong she is at home. Then there's Corona High School. I'll get into the total number at the end, but Billy Carlson is up first. It seems like he probably could do anything he wanted to, Jered, on a baseball field. He's a shortstop right now.
It's been a bit of a Bryce Rayner, vibe when it comes to freshman year. Somebody thinks he's a pitcher. Sophomore year, somebody thinks he's a shortstop. Junior year, somebody tells us he could be both. And now you get to his junior summer, going into his senior year, and I think he's firmly a shortstop. Exceeded all the expectations, ran a 6.68. Nobody's ever questioned the glove. He could always pick it. Lateral movement, body control, change arm angles. He could do it all at shortstop and always has. But it's the bat this summer. He hit at every spot. and he hit for power, and he did it all spring for Corona as well. So this wasn't just, hey, I had a good couple months. I've had a good calendar year. And again, I think he's the one that like solidified when people ask, hey, pitcher, hitter, and he's talented on the mound now. But this is a shortstop that just played shortstop every inning of every game at the WWBA and beat everybody and won a title. So if you're picking a shortstop to maybe go and win you a title, guy won a national title for his high school, then won a national title for his travel team, this is the guy.
Dimitri and Delman Young, both high draft picks, both good major leaguers. Their nephew is Quentin Young. He's writing his own story. Tate Southstein's brother Ty was the MVP of last year's game. Now here's Tate. Now this is a guy that bounced up the rankings. Whoa, about 150 points up the rankings. You already know I'm a Dodgers fan. I don't hide that. So of course, Dino Evil, we love watching him wave home guys for the Los Angeles Dodgers, like Shohei. And if you're Brady Evil, you can learn from Dad, who's learning from Shohei. Well, Brady Evil's his own man now. Another Corona High School guy, Eli Willis. Fort Cobb, Oklahoma. Here's another one. You guys have been seeing him for a long, long time. Dad Reggie, Eli deserves to make this team, man.
Another Bloodlines guy, right? And another guy that if he had a different last name would be right where he is. Switch hitter, can absolutely play shortstop. He is one that has kind of trained and developed, in the summer and gotten his reps in and this summer went a little more national. And you could just see all the developmental aspects that have gone into his game, and a lot of it was just strength. To be fair, it's a baseball family, right? And they do baseball things, but the power that he has from both sides of the plate, being able to split gaps, there's going to be a ton of pull side power there down the line. And another guy with massive instincts. He can take an extra base, he can steal a base, he can do all the little things. Just always seems to be in the right place defensively as well. And again, the arm strength, the ability to change arm angles, get it out quick, body control, it's all there. This guy should play shortstop and hit at the top of the lineup no matter what level he goes to after his senior year.
We've known about Dean Moss for a long, long time, and we should. Anthony Pack is out of Lakewood, California. 4 things he mentioned I want to accomplish at a higher level this year off the field. Respect, listening, kindness, and humility. That's who this athlete is, Anthony Pack Jr. There's Josiah Hartshorn now out of Anaheim, California. Josiah, Texas A&M commit. USA Prime is travel team, and it's big power, right, Jered?
This is one of the more fascinating things that I've seen. Goes to Chase Field, a little dinged up this summer, so he turns around lefty, and he's been working switch hitting. He's trying to hit it in the hamburger restaurant at Chase Field, and almost doing it. He's hitting doubles at every spot, and only hitting from the left side. And I think it's probably a blessing in disguise, because if that's on your profile and you're a true switch hitter with power, obviously it doesn't matter if you're a first baseman, if you're a left fielder, whatever it is, which he may be down the road. But what he's been able to do and do it with power, I mean, we're sending text messages back and forth about how astonishing it is and how much work you have to put in to be able to do that, especially the competition. He doesn't dodge anybody. USA Prime doesn't dodge anybody. It's a fascinating story. He's an off-the-charts makeup kid, too. So excited to see, hopefully, him get healthy by the All-American Classic and put on some shows here for everybody to see.
Usually slap hitters that are your switch hitters. That's amazing. So, Diego Velasquez out of Reseda, California. Crespi, that's a famous name in Southern California. Excited to introduce him, as well as Kason Cunningham out of San Antonio, Texas. Xavier Nyans, Mount Vernon, Washington. Already the Washington Gatorade Player of the Year. So tell us about Xavier, what makes him such a special talent?
I met Xavier when he was 13. So the backstory, he hits with a guy that played travel ball for me and then played for me at FIU, got to the big leagues this year with the Rays, and he sends me video of this kid when he's 13 years old, and it was like, I don't believe you, right? So fast forward from there, if I was to draw up the best offensive, talent in the class, it would probably be Xavier. What he can do with controlling the zone, what he can do with two-strike approach, and the power is the power. What he went opposite field at a big league stadium easily, for a home run at the National Showcase. It's not the first time we've seen him do stuff like that. He was awesome at the 17U WWBA. He was awesome a couple years before, has always challenged himself and played up since like his freshman year. So he wanted to make sure he was going against older competition. You're just talking about a guy that, in the conversation where it's like he can probably do anything he wants on the field. But this guy's left-handed power and the ability to probably stay and produce in the middle of the lineup at the very highest level, you can see it as a 17-year-old kid. He is so impressive.
There's a tunnel that Corbin Carroll walks down every day to go to work and play at Chase Field. You know, Corbin Carroll, the Rookie of the Year, the PG All-American alum. We got in that same tunnel, and he stood and he talked about who he is as an athlete, Xavier Nyans. Danny Wetzelman producing this feature. Let's get to know Xavier and what makes him so special.
So I'm from Mount Vernon, Washington, and it's smaller than most towns. I'm an hour north of Seattle, so there's not much to do. Like me and my friends, we play wiffle ball like all the time. Like even like winter and fall, like if it was cold out, we'd still go out and play wiffle ball. During COVID in like 2020, I like kind of made a little field around my yard, and like I hosted a tournament, and we had like 8 kids there, and we played a little tournament. It was a bunch of fun. I won it. And like 2020 also gave me time to like, you know, get in the weight room, and that's when I started lifting and stuff. And I got a cage in my barn, and I started hitting. Like I'd hit every day. So that's kind of when I became a better baseball player as well.
Xavier Nyans swings and clubs that one to deep left center field. Back to the fence. It's out of here.
This is a quality hitter right there. That's a grown man swinging the bat, driving it out the left center field right there. On a 93-mile-per-hour fastball.
Wow.
I was always pretty good at baseball, but then I remember like an off season between like 12U, I think. I kind of like got like a little leg kick, and I tried to swing like Bryce Harper.
Beautiful swing.
And I actually became like pretty good, and I actually started hitting for like a little bit of power and stuff because I was like always pretty big. And then 14U, I hopped on the summer circuit with Trotsky. I wasn't ranked right off the bat. And then 8th grade I committed to Oregon State, and I got invited to like the national showcase. And I was like excited to go, and it helped me out quite a bit. I remember like the second round of rankings dropped in 8th grade, and I remember I was sitting in school, I was sitting in class. I checked like the rankings just because, and like they updated, and I was at 19. Like I told all my friends, like I was super excited.
Slashed into left field by Nyans.
Yeah, that helped my confidence out quite a bit, you know, after the 14U showcase, and I got invited to the Select Fest. You know, Jeremy Brown talked to me a little bit. In the Select Fest, I'm still friends with most like everybody that was there, so it's pretty cool. I've always pretty much been like the top 10 in the rankings, and like sometimes like I slid out to like 11 one time, but then it's just kind of tough for where I live because I don't get like in the off season, like there's not like a bunch of baseball recognition, especially high school ball. I never felt like a bunch of pressure on me, right? I was just out there like having fun, and I think I've gotten more mature in that side of things as I've gotten older. Like there's not much pressure, you know? It's just you're out there having fun, you're with your friends.
Second of the night for Shenson. He's driven in 6th.
Me and Austin Shenton met back in, I want to say like 2019. It was before COVID hit, and he was still at FIU. And you know, he trained at the same place I did, and he worked out with the same person I did because he's from Bellingham, which is like 30 minutes north of me. I remember hitting with him one time when I was like 12 or 13. He asked me if I wanted to hit. I'm like, yeah, sure. I was like super nervous. I remember like we'd always hit, and I'd be like stuttering around him because I'm so nervous. But now like he's like my big brother. Like in the off season, like I'm with him like almost every day, training and stuff, hitting. He talks to me about summers and stuff, and he's like, this summer is like, this is gonna be the best one you get because you're traveling, you're with your friends and everything. Like, you know, he's in minor league baseball right now, grinding it out. He's like, just remember to have fun. And, like, there's never any pressure on you. But then the summers is when I like really stand out because I'll work hard in between high school ball and summer ball to get ready, and I'll go to like a WWA and like put up pretty good numbers. Obviously, like kids from like California or Texas or Florida are going to be like a little bit more ready for summer ball than I am, just because of where they're from. Like, you know, Washington, like our first high school games are like 40 degrees and sideways rain, and it's like it's difficult. And then you look at all the video, and it's like March and 70 degrees in Cali. You're like, dang, I wish I was there. But overall, like it's fine. Like I did my same routine training to get ready for summer ball this year as I did last summer, and it worked out pretty well.
Back to the roster, another group of hitters. Mason Pike, Puyallup, Washington. A couple of times he's won a state championship in wrestling. I don't know what to make of Slater DeBrun. I mean, just blew my doors off watching him play. Deserves to be there, there's no doubt. A Vanderbilt commit. You watch Slater play. You've watched him quite a bit this summer. What have you seen?
I mean, when we're just talking about Corbin Carroll, if you don't think that we've thrown that around, and probably unfairly, with Slater DeBrun. 6'3", runner, goes and gets it in center field, is willing to bunt, is willing to take base, is willing to steal, dirt ball reads like the whole thing, but he has got way more power than a lot of people have seen, and when he gets going, he's going to show it. He was one of the guys that we were most excited about as we got to see him more and more this summer, and then he goes to chase, and what does he do? He just hits like he always does. So we're so excited, unfairly throwing an all-star Corbin Carroll comp on anybody in high school, but it just has that vibes, and when people see the power that he has, you might get a couple more people going, well, maybe.
Gavin Feen is from Temecula, California, a Texas commit. Out of Katy, Texas, Lucas Franco joins the roster. Another Texas 12 guy, TCU commit. Brock Sell is out of Stockton, California. Stockton's representing. He's a left-handed hitter. Then there's big Trent Grindlinger. It's one thing to play for Huntington Beach High School. They have great uniforms, a beautiful field, huge expectations. Like Corona, everybody wants to beat Huntington Beach High School. But then you step into the shoes of first-round draft pick, Ralphie Velasquez.
And we knew he was one of the top catchers. He was polished. He's tough. You can tell he loves the position. It's a big, accurate arm. He receives, he blocks. He's willing to do all the little things. To be a catcher, you got to want to catch, and you can go and watch him play, and he wants to catch. This summer, though, he took the year and clearly cleaned some things up in his swing. It's a shorter swing. It's more powerful. It's on time. He hit high-level pitching the entire summer at some of the hardest events to hit at, and carried that over to where we saw him going 105s, 106s, 108s during BP, and then he gets in game and continues to show that hit tool. So you're talking about maybe, at least arguably, the most well-rounded catcher in this class, and it's been a lot on him, going from that catch first guy to that true overall player where he can get in the box and do it there too.
An incredible guy to watch. By the way, his brother Jered, the #2 player overall in the class of 2027. So, Braden Joska. Here's what makes this catcher interesting. He's 6'6", #3 catcher overall. He's an Oregon commit, plays for NorCal. And then rounding out the roster, Mets fans out there, anybody? Bruin Agbayani, Benny Agbayani. He coaches his son, a talented middle infielder, a Hawaiian. Excited to see him. So, those are the West hitters. We've got really, really good arms. When we come back all out West, Jered and I thank you for hanging out with us on the Perfect Game All-American Classic Preview Show. Daron and Jered, and let's get into the final part of this roster, although we're going to talk about a pitcher who could be a hitter who actually is a hitter as we get into the West. He's from Chino, California. He's the #1 right-handed pitcher, Jered, in the land. His name is Seth Hernandez, yet he can swing it too.
Yeah, he's been incredible this summer, really the entire spring. This is a guy that's been on the national stage for a long time. He's a winner. He seems to win everywhere he goes. Whether that's WWBAs like he did this year, or whether that's high school. You know, we had him up to the high 90s this spring, playing so many games this summer, kind of in the mid 90s. But it's polish. I mean, this is a guy that we start talking about. Hey, who's the best high school righty you've ever seen? And I go back to the Bundys, the Fernandezes. More recently, a lot of guys have the Leskos, where there's a huge faction of our company, especially the younger guys, that this is him. Hernandez is the best guy they've seen, and I can't argue with him. He's been that special. Then you fast forward to the championship game of the WWBA, and he hits a grand slam, a no-doubt home run after he hit the whole tournament, showed power, can play multiple spots if you're not trying to save his arm. This is a baseball player with the highest level tools, and in all honesty, if he was a hitter, he still might be in this game.
Brett Crossland gets to be home. Now, I'm sure he'll go stay at the team hotel, but he's a Phoenician and an All-American. Reagan Ricken is out of Temecula, California. Little Rick is what he is known. LSU is where he is committed, so excited to see Reagan Ricken take his inning. Brock Kettleson out of Scotts Valley, California. High spin, high fastball, 93, 94, but high spin on that. Now, here's the fourth guy from Corona High School, because Ethan Bingaman, PG All-American, is transferring in. Excited to see him go to work. I'm also excited to see Cruz Schoolcraft, and this is an athlete we've been seeing since that 14U Select Festival. He's gotten bigger. Even showed you guys a big exit velocity when he went into that station. So I'd love to know more about a guy who's 6'8" and still isn't all the way to a ceiling.
We left the 17U WNBA half jokingly, but half not, just going, hey, the Bryce Eldridges of the world, the 6'7", 6'8" lefties, they're just hitters disguised as pitchers. And he was awesome at the 17U WNBA. He hit some majestic home runs there. And we really were kind of throwing the idea around of like, this kid is probably going to get drafted as this massive, power potential type left-handed hitter. We get to his turn on the mound. He touches 97, another guy that has some feel with a ton of movement. The breaking ball's already in the upper 80s. He has feel for 3 pitches. We all looked around and kind of said, well, I guess maybe he's a pitcher, right? I think the best thing to say is that this kid's story's not done. He's not even really strong yet. How could he be with how long and how tall he is? But he is a fascinating baseball player, and he's going to be one of the guys I think that's going to be more followed this spring than anybody else to kind of see what or who he is. And if there was a guy in the class, that I think could get drafted and really given the chance to be a two-way guy in pro ball, it's Cruz.
So UCLA commit Angel Cervantes is on the roster, Linwood, California. All of us parents out there are saying, be careful with social media. Put some clips up on Twitter. John Savage checked it out, the head coach of UCLA, got in his car and drove and watched him pitch. Offered him very soon after that. That's the good stuff. Angel Cervantes deserves to be on the roster. Jack LaFlamme is on the roster. Brophy Prep, where he goes to school in Central Phoenix, is probably about a 10-minute drive from Chase Field. So we've got Crossland and then LaFlamme, both local guys getting played in this game. Tell us about Jack LaFlamme, please.
He's that classic, highly projectable right-handed pitcher, kind of that classic guy that you're like, all he needs to do is gain some strength. He pounds the zone already, even though he's long. The body control and how he repeats his delivery is exceptional. It's boxed, it's short, and the timing at release is awesome for his 3-pitch mix. The slider has late bite with big spin, and he can really kill spin on the changeup. Even though it's a 3-pitch mix, he's got starter written all over him, and the 95s that he's peaking at right now are really just the tip of the iceberg. He's a fun prospect to watch, whether he goes to college and develops there or one of these great pitching development organizations just take him right off the board because they want to mold him. He's that type of projection athlete that is already repeating his delivery way better than he should with his long frame.
Hello, Tampa. You listening? Zach Strickland's from Arcadia, California, another GPG guy. He's been up to 95 this summer. River Hamilton is from Woodville, Oregon. This is a guy that hopes to be the Gatorade Player of the Year. That's his big goal in Oregon. He'd like to be an elite student in his class. He also wanted to open the eyes of you guys, and he's done that. River Hamilton.
Yeah, this kid kind of popped up on the scene a little bit a couple years ago, and all he's done is get better, seemingly every outing. It's a quick twitch athlete, which for pitchers, especially right-handed pitchers, is something I look for in those young arms. It's an incredibly fast shoulder, already in the mid 90s. It's explosive. It seems to have another gear. And when you're talking about starters, he's got a 4-pitch mix. Slider and breaking ball, definitely different shapes. And the changeup, he's pretty confident in that pitch already. So all 4 of those come together, and you're looking at another guy that even at 17 years old, you can project out as a long-term starter with well above average stuff already for his age.
Let's round out the roster with Dylan Wood out of Elk Grove, California, another Chip Hale, Arizona commit. He did at the 17U WNBA, strike out 14 and 8 in the third. Excited to get to know him as a human being a lot better, Dylan Wood. So that rounds out the West squad, Jered. I'm not going to pin you back anywhere. As you look ahead at this game, what are a couple of things you're just most excited to see play out? All-American games are challenging because for hitters, you're dealing with a guy that's a closer every inning. But as you sit and scout this game, what excites you the most?
It's coming down to the infield play. I've been around long enough, like you have, and gotten to see the Nick Allens make that diving play in the 6-hole years ago, right? Now big leaguer Nick Allen. Got to see Adrian Santana, who ended up being a first-rounder a year ago, make that play in foul territory where he takes away, an at-bat with a diving catch, an unbelievable catch. And then last year we got to see Titan Southsea make maybe the best play I've seen at an All-American Classic, and there's been some good ones. But this infield class, given the chance, could do special things, and it might not be one play we're talking about. It could be multiple plays. They're that talented, they're that unique, and they're that confident in their abilities. So I think the infield play is that, and I'm a hitting guy, right? The infield play is what I'm most excited about, given the opportunity to do something special.
Jered, thanks for you and your team for sharing all the insights with us and letting us go behind the scenes of the building of this roster. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sut. Always happy to be here.
Yeah, it's a 22nd Perfect Game All-American Classic. It's August 18th on Perfect Game TV. That's the only spot you can find, and we're really proud of Perfect Game TV. Go ahead and download the app as well so you can watch it on that beautiful TV you have in your family room that's 70 inches. Or if you're running around, you can watch it on your phone. It's Perfect Game TV. It's August 18th, Chase Field, the 22nd edition of the Perfect Game All-American Classic. Look forward to seeing all of you there, or if you're not there, seeing all of you virtually. Have a great rest of your summer.